Hello, everyone. My name is Yaquelin del Carmen Castillo. I am a student of the bachelor's degree in foreign language with an emphasis in English at Universidad Nacional, Abierta y Distancia, UNAT. And today I will present my research project entitled Understanding the Lived Experience of Fourth Grade Students at Institución Educativa Alianza in the use of flashcards to overcome difficulties with possessive pronouns and reading new field activities. Yes, this study focuses on student experience when using flashcards during reading English learning activities related to possessive pronouns. Yes, so let's start with the general information of the project. As I already mentioned, the title of my project is Understanding the Lived Experience for grade students at Institución Educativa Alianza in the use of flashcards to overcome difficulties with possessive pronouns in reading new field activities. Type of paper is research project. This research project belongs to the research line of pedagogy, didactics, and foreign language learning. And the author is Yaquelin del Carmen Castillo. The advisor is Norma Suleima García Fonseca, who is my tutor of the core research project. And additionally, the most relevant keywords of the study are flashcard, possessive pronoun, EFL, geo-learning, living experience, and qualitative research. These concepts are important because they summarize the main focus and methodological orientation of the research. Yes. Now continue with the presentation. I will explain the problem that motivated this study. Yes. This research emerged from the classroom observation conducted during English lessons with fourth grade students. During these activities, I was observed that many students experience difficulties when using possessive pronouns, such as has, my, your, his, her, or, and their, in reading and English activities. For example, students often confuse pronouns while constructing sentences, and in many cases, they were unsure about how to apply grammatical structure correctly. Additionally, national and international reports such as IFES and IPI indicate that many students continue presenting low English proficiency levels, especially in grammar and reading communication. This situation demonstrates the importance of implementing more meaningful and interactive teaching strategies in English classroom. Because of this, teachers frequently use visual materials such as flashcards to support language learning among young learners. Therefore, this study aims to explore student lived experience with the use of flashcards during the reading of field activities focused on possessive pronouns. Yes. So after identifying the problem, the next step was to establishing the objective of the study. The general objective of the study was to understand the lived experience of fourth grade students and Institución Educativa Alianza in the use of flashcards to overcome difficulties with possessive pronouns during the reading of field activities. In order to achieve this objective, three specific objectives were established. The first objective was to explore student perception about the use of flashcards in English learning activities. The second objective was to describe student experience when using flashcards to practice possessive pronoun and reading tasks. And finally, the third objective was to interpret the meaning student accede to flashcards as visual support for grammar learning. This objective helped guide the entire research process, especially the data collection and analysis stage. Yes. Okay. We continue with the literature review that support this research. Regarding the literature review, this study was supported by several theoretical foundations related to the visual learning and English teaching for young learners. First, the study considered visual learning strategies in NFL classroom because visual research can facilitate comprehension and participation among young learning. Second, the research focus on flashcards has support for grammar learning since this material can help a student associate images and work while practicing grammatical structure. Additional, the student considered theory related to meaningful learning experience among young learners. And finally, the research was framed within a phenomenological qualitative approach which focuses on understanding students' lived experience and perception. Yes, in addition to the theoretical foundation, several previous students support this research. For example, Matura and Sudu in 2021 found that flashcards improve participation and reading among you learning. Similarly, Taruso and Harun in 2024 highlighted that visual learning media increases student engagement during English classes. Finally, García Medina and college in 2019 found that flashcards support vocabulary learning in primary education contexts. Overall, this study demonstrates the importance of visual and interactive material in English language learning. Yes, these previous studies were very important because they help support the theoretical foundation of my research. Yes. Okay, so I will now explain the methodology used with the research. This study followed a qualified research approach with the hermeneutic phenomenological design. The qualitative approach was selected because the purpose of the study was not to measure results statically, but ready to understand and interpret the students' experience during the use of flashcards in English learning activities. Additionally, the phenomenological approach allowed the research to explore student perception, feeling, and meaning regarding their learning experience. The participants of the study were fourth-grade students from the Institución Educativa Alianza, and to collect the information, three main instruments were used: is classroom observation, field diaries, and reading activities. This activity, this instrument help with detailed information about student participation, interaction, and experience during the classroom activities. Regarding data analysis, scoring, and categorization process were conducted using Atlas T through thematic analysis. Additionally, analytical tools such as word clouds, code networks, and triangulation strategies were used to strengthen the rigor and organization of the quality analysis. Now, continue with the methodology. I will briefly explain the ethical consideration of the study. Regarding ethical consideration, confidentiality, anonymity, and informed consent were warranted throughout the research process. Student identity were protected by use codes, IDs, or real names. Additional, all college information was used only for academic purpose. Furthermore, participants were informed about the purpose of the study and their participation during the research activities. These ethical principles were very important to ensure respect, responsibility, and transparency during the development of the investigation. Yes. Now, I will continue with the data analysis process. Yes. In this part, present the data analysis process developed during the study. First, data collection was conducted through classroom observation, field diaries, and reading activities. After quality, the information open coding was performed in Atlas T. This process allowed the identification of meaningful segments related to a student's experience. Next, similar cores were grouped into thematic categories. These categories help organize the information and identify common patterns in student experience. Finally, the information was interpreted in order to understand how the student experienced the use of flashcards during the English learning activities. Overall, this process strengthened the organization and rigor of the quality analysis. Yes. Continue. I present one day of analytical tools generated during the quality analysis. Workload. This figure represents generated during the quality analysis process. The workload helped identify the most frequent and meaningful terms that emerged from the college data. Some of the more relevant work were related to participation, motivation, learning, flashcard, and classroom interaction. The visual presentation supports the identification of recurring terms in student perception during the English activities. Additional, the workload contributed to the organization and interpretation of the data collected through observation and field diaries. Yes. Now I will continue the main finding of the research. I will present the most important finding obtained during the study. Yes. First, a student saw positive perception about the use of flashcards during the English activity. Yes, many students appear more motivated and interested when visual material were incorporated into classroom tasks. Second, flashcard increased participation, motivation, and classroom interaction. Yes, during the activities, students participate more actively and interact more confidently with their classmate and the teacher. Yes. Additional visual support helps the student understand and use possessive pronoun more confidently in reading activities. This student demonstrate better comprehension and when grammatical structure were support through images and visual association. And finally, students associate a flashcard with meaningful and engaging learning experience. Yes. Overall, the findings suggest that visual and interactive strategy can support grammar learning among young AFL learners. Yes. One important aspect as observed during the study was that the students feel more comfortable and motivated when visual material were incorporated into classroom activity. Yes. So after presenting the finding, I will now explain the discussion of the study. Regarding the discussion, the findings suggests that visual learning strategy can support grammar learning in young EFL learners. The use of flashcards promotes the participation and interaction during the classroom activities, creating more engaged and support learning environment. Additional, the research aligned with previous study conducted by Matura and Zulu, as well as Turusu and Haru, how highlights the importance of visual material in English learning. Furthermore, the study support phenomenological perspective because it's focused on student lived experience and perception during the learning process. This means that the research was not only interested in academic performance, but also in understanding how students experience the use of flashcards emotionally and academically. Overall, the finding report the importance of implementing visual and interactive teaching strategies in primary English education. Now, before presenting the final conclusion of the study, I would like to briefly mention the pedagogical implication, limitation, and future research recommendation related to this investigation. Regarding the implication for English language teaching, this study highlights the importance of incorporating visual and interactive materials such as flashcards and primary English classroom. This strategy can support student participation, motivation, and understanding of grammatical structure in more meaningful ways. Additionally, the study demonstrates the importance of creating engaged learning environment where young learning feel more confident in activities during classroom activities. However, the study also presents some limitations. For example, the research was conducted with a small group of 4th grade students in one educational institution, which means that the finding cannot generalize to all education contexts. Additionally, the study focuses specifically on possessive pronoun and reading and field activities. Regarding future research, I would be valuable to explore the use in flashcard with the other grammatical topics, different age group, or digital learning environment. Future study could also analyze student oral communication experience when using visual learning strategies. Yes, I will present the final conclusion of the study. In conclusion, flashcards facilitate student understanding and use of possessive pronoun during the reading of field activities. Additionally, visual learning material increase student participation, motivation, and classroom interaction. Students also associate flashcards with a meaningful and engaged English learning experience. Finally, the study highlights the importance of using visual and interactive strategy to support grammar learning and joyful learning. Demonstrate that visual materials such as flashcards can contribute positively to a student experience in English learning context. Now, I will briefly present some of the main reference used in this research. This slide, this part presents some of the most important reference used to support the theoretical and methodological development of the study. This source provides important contribution related to the cognitive research, phenomenology, flashcard, and English teaching for young learners. Yes, okay, this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention and watching this video. Thank you. Bye-bye.